Shanti. So last time we started with these i-varna. Cha, 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 ja, ja, nya. And let us look into immediately what Sri Aurobindo says, and from there we start. We will come to, because I did a lot of work with with ca-varga, and actually more than with anything else. With U I did less, with Ri even more, even less than with O. But with this E1, for some reason, I wanted to create a pattern in which we can study each Varga. So I did quite a lot, and I was showing you this, all these roots, and how they, with combinations, how they start, all possible combinations which we can have, and which we do not have as all the roots from this combination. We will come to it now in a minute. What we have and why we don't have others, other words starting with the E, words ending with the E, or words starting with the Ya, which is E, and so on. Ending with E, vadati, vadanti, and so on. And the examination of the meanings of the roots. Finally, we are coming to different types of combinations, with starting with cha, ja, and so on. And then classification with different, starting with E and closing with different consonants from different vargas, the extensions. Also E in different roots, not only in these, but in other roots where E appears and what it could mean. Yeah, here there's from different roots, starting with dentals, but E is everywhere. So we will have to examine the whole tapestry of, or the varna, the color of E.
Have you ever looked at which vowel is the one that's most common for the roots?
Is the most common for Sanskrit language altogether. That's why you hear so many us, yeah? All the time, everywhere. So like maybe 60% of and the rest is shared with all other sounds.
Sure.
All right, let's look into what Sri Aurobindo will say about these major roots. Cha. Cha is a swift and brilliant action. Now, first of all, E. E is a relative existence. Relative. If this is absolute existence, then E is relative, not absolute. It is particular existence, kind of particularly chosen, some like a height or like focus, an intense state of existence, being narrowed, forceful, and insistent, tending to a goal, seeking to occupy space. All these are the characteristics of, should be of ca-varga. So cha, swift and brilliant action. You can see it immediately here. Existence, contact. Contact already makes something general, absolute, particular. When we come into contact with something, not with everything. This kind of choosing the particular quality. Then cha, the same like cha with a greater lightness. Ja is a restless, brilliant, decisive action, existence or contact, very similar to cha, but has some force in it, bigger force, yeah, some restless force. If it is swift, if cha is swift, sliding very fast, then ja has in it voice. It's like voiced cha, and has this decisive action. No difference from cha so much. Yeah? You can see that it's the same.
But here the has have the they have the impact of making things lighter, as opposed to, like in the cuz, the h sound seems to increase the intensity of the unaspirated.
Right. Yeah, yeah, it's very interesting that to see the difference with aspiration. Aspiration on the palatal level has a different cha, and cha um, has this impact of lightness more, whereas ka has this
Mm-hmm.
attack or attrition in it, detrition. Yeah, there's some kind of crumbling down, or
Mm-hmm.
whereas cha doesn't have that.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the ka and ka have like, I think the word that comes to my mind is they're catabolic. They break things down.
That's a good term. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Uh,
Interesting.
yeah, and it depends on the, of course, on the major sound. This major cha is already very soft, and it is not totally, though it is considered to be sprishta, the touched. But if you examine it, cha 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 ja ja ja, it's not, it's ishat sprishta, it's slightly touched, because or even ardha sprishta, half touched, because when the tongue, the middle of the tongue cannot touch really the palate, there is the very interesting touch, cha 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 cha. It is rather the front of the tongue, the touching the cerebrals more than you really touch the palate with the middle of the tongue,
Mm.
because one cannot reach there. One cannot bend the tongue in such a way that it will really touch the palate.
Mm-hmm.
That's why people misunderstand this varga, and they think that it is cerebral cha, but because the touch is taking place somewhere there on the cerebrals, with the in between middle and the tip of the tongue, there is the one part which is cha 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 touching, but it is considered to be sprishta, the whole varga, cha 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 cha, and not ardha sprishta, not half touched.
Hmm.
But because of this characteristic, which is not fully touched, like t or p, it's full touch, or even no, k is full touch. Yes. Though the soft palate, back palate, is quite soft.
Hmm.
Uh, so because of that, it has this swift and brilliant action, I think.
Hmm.
We do not have full touch, so to say,
Hmm.
like dead, yeah, like a dead touch, yeah, like t, stopping this t, yeah, very strong one, like a wall into which you really can. But here there is no such wall, cha cha, and it is rather like fricative or something, and that's why it has this swiftness, and it has contact, but contact which is not like a wall.
Hmm.
And at the same time, with the greater lightness, restlessness, and so on. Yeah, let us look into into my text, where there will be many more examples. So this E family, um, it can be described as that which, in the system of coordination, something still stable and one. Wait a minute. Now we have to summarize the result of our premier observations of the general semantic of i-varna. Can be described as that which, in the system of coordination, something system which is something still stable and one, makes the distinction between subject and object, active and passive, by the comparison of that which behaves particularly different with the rest of the system. So to say, it distinguishing some element of it, some particularity. Its speed differs from the speed or the vibration of the system. If the system is kind of holding equilibrium, then there is some deviation, and that is noticeable. and therefore it makes it noticeable. So, and from here we have E root to go, to move, with general significance of motion as distinguishable behavior from the rest. If we can imagine like uh, animals, how they react, yeah, why they are still when they are hunting, because actually every motion is noticeable, yes, and it's just ourselves. There's something moving, we immediately react. If nothing moves, if it holds the same equilibrium, we don't react. But any change causes our, so to say, draws our attention. So this is the idea of E, moving, going. It's Indo-European root, which means to go. Yeah, the Russian iti, to go. To go most probably is from gun, yeah, in English, but there's no E root in English. Or there is something, no? E is no E.
I can't think of anything.
No, only to go. Go is taking over the rest.
Yeah.
Chi is the most adequate root for this ca-varga, with E and ch, which is palatal, both palatals, to note, to notice also, to concentrate, to gather, to focus, to pile up into one point. This piling up, yes, from here chiti, altar, from here chiti as concentration, chit as consciousness, chinoti, chinute, both are used as concentrating and gathering. To draw attention to one particular thing in the indifferent and static whole, to focus on one point, one-pointedness. This is another important characteristic of Eve. I was even today dreaming about this, that E is, when it is written like a line, and then the dot on the top, you know, this dot on the top makes it even more. Why that dot on the top? Yeah, can't be just the line. No, the dot is doing something. You know, it's like showing the target or something. Oh, it's one-pointedness.
So would you say long E in that respect then, because that also has a thing on the top? I mean, in
Yeah,
English,
something. Yeah, half. Yeah.
and then the E, long E, would be a more intense because of that, you know, it has the little hook thing on the top in Sanskrit.
Yeah, it's a prolonged E. That means most probably it has this sense of more intense or longer time concentration or something, yeah? Or maybe longer passage or something.
Or impact.
Impact and intensity, and usually these long and short ones, they would not differ in their quality because they're the same varna, yeah? The same articulation, only they are pronounced longer in comparison to others in the flow of speech. So they should not make much difference, yeah?
Yeah.
As kind of standing alone without comparison in the flow of words. But in the flow of words, there will be something. They are more open, longer are more open than short. They are more vivrita, yeah? They are more open. So chi is, and they are pronounced interestingly. They are pronounced like e more, like um, not like e. Tishtati, not tishtati. They are becoming more like e. Tishtati, this short e. Whereas long e becomes more e. Like jivati. Jivati and chinoti, chinoti, not chinoti. So the E is more open, E is more like E, less open. So there's this distinction.
Hmm.
So chinoti is this we looked into. It's I think this is the major root for this varga, and G is another major root. It is because these are monosyllabic roots. G is to conquer, and we spoke about it last time that it is why to conquer. I spent quite some years thinking about this. What is this G conquering really, and how it is happening? Mm.
Hmm.
Like breaking through the wall and occupying behind the wall.
Hmm.
So here I'm describing it means to throw or to move oneself in one direction with power, to bring oneself to one place instead of being simultaneously everywhere, or even kind of pervading, like injecting, like injection, injecting oneself into some other body, and then occupying from within, like coronavirus. So this is occupying or conquering.
Dominant.
And there is also ginoti in the 5th class. We can speak about classes a little bit also, because jayati is to conquer, conquers, and prevails, overcomes. These are all the meanings of jayati. But ginoti in the 5th class is to quicken, means to make the movement more powerful. And here we can see that the 5th class in general, with this nu suffix, yeah, has this strange sense of the same nu root to impel, to compel, to promote, to causative sense, to cause the movement.
Hmm.
You will see it once you start observing that 4th, 5th class, especially. If you take karoti and krinoti, there will be slight difference. We don't see it because it's the same root and is translated in the same way. But karoti is more kind of doing, whereas krinoti is more causing things to be separated and rearranged. So forcing, yeah, krinoti, whereas karoti less forcing.
Hmm.
Uh,
So that's pretty much true for all of 5th case. That's how.
I think so, yes. If you start examining, I did this before. If you open 5th class,
Yeah.
you will see that chinoti, chinute, causing this focus, yeah? It is more decisive and more energetic. It is causing the action. And since it is causing the action, we do not see much of a difference because every root is doing that action. So causing it or doing it is not really much of a difference. That's why we are never noticing. But most probably from the beginning, 10 classes had different flavors of meaning.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
That's a
Now
good.
we, yeah, now we don't distinguish them.
Yeah. That would be a study in and of itself, huh?
Right, from the phonetic point of view also, that we could see why that particular suffix has that particular flavor or gives that sense of, and 1st class is, that's why 1st class is the most popular. There are more than 1,200 roots or something
Yeah.
close to it.
Yeah.
I don't remember whether 200, but maybe not. More than 1,000 something. Definitely more than the 1,000 roots in one class, because it is actually most indifferent.
Yeah. I'm going to go get that book real quick that tells you. You can keep talking. I'm listening.
Sure, sure. So ginoti is a,
Oh,
yeah,
66. For some reason, that number sticks in my head.
say it again.
I think 1266, that number sticks in my head for the number of roots in class 1. I have that somewhere also.
1266, maybe.
No,
Yeah.
for some reason it sticks in my head. I could be wrong.
Could be. Yeah. I just don't remember. I never truly. I remember over 1,000, more than half of the roots. Or
Yeah,
for,
definitely, it's a huge number.
yeah.
And then, of course, maybe 1266 includes, and if you include all of the thematic,
If
vast number.
I'm looking in Dhatu Rupa Manjari,
Uh-huh.
so
Oh, I think I have it in a book. But go ahead.
first class is 1079 is what it says
779.
for first class.
Okay.
Then second has 72, third has 24. I can send you this if you want. The
I'm
total,
curious about the total for the first conjugation, because I somehow remember it's something like 1266 or something if you add them all together.
well,
1070.
for first conjugation, this says 1079.
That's for class 1. I'm talking about 1, 4, 6, and 10 together.
1, 4, 6, and 10. Let's see. That would be, yeah. I'll add it up. So 1 is 1079, 4 is 140, 6 is 157, and 10 is 440. So
That's more, yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot. So it's about I think it's close to 3/4 of the roots.
Yeah, 3/4
Are
of
the
the
first
roots.
conjugation.
they say that the total number of roots in this is 2,200.
How many?
2,200.
22. Okay.
Total number for all 10. And then 157, 440 plus 157 plus 140 plus
1079.
1079 comes to 1776 total for the four classes.
3/4.
Yeah, 1776.
Mm.
You add that all up.
Yes, a lot. These thematic classes, yeah. But even within these thematic classes, if you look deeper into them, you will see that among this, from the first to sixth to fourth and 10th, they have different flavors also because of their suffixes and their guna or no guna, like sixth class. Yeah.
So adding the ya
And ya, tushyati,
would
divyati.
seem to make that class have more of this idea of the concentrated.
Right. Focused, concentrated, moving, distinguishing itself. Yes. That is ya suffix, divyati, tushyati.
And then if you don't add anything basically, and you're in thematic, you're still adding the thematic ah. So it would seem that would be more like
Yeah.
just the pure, what did you say for ah?
Yes, there's indifferent, absolute existence, which is not changing anything. That's why R doesn't change much of the meaning at all. If it is in the middle, it really doesn't make the difference. Only it's just a carrier of the consonant. Yeah. So in that sense, of course, R suffix would not do much, do nothing actually. It would just carry the root. So
What's interesting now, I wonder if you can comment on this. If you have a class 1 and you have a ni ending, then somehow the focus of ni or G, it goes to Jaya or Maya, and that E seems to be lost. Or does the Ya still carry it?
Yeah, still carry it. And we will look into it in the i-varna, that all the roots starting with the ya, these are roots starting with the E actually. Ya or you or all these roots are E roots. for us, because ya is semi-vowel of e, and it happens to be semi-vowel because of other vowels around. So it will react and it will shrink into this semi-vowel. So jayati, but what is interesting in jayati, this guna stands out, this interferes and makes from ei. Yeah? But if you take the sixth class, if I took G in the sixth class, it will be jiyati, jiyati. So the E will be there, U will appear before A, but E will sustain because there will be no guna.
Yeah.
So jayati, jiyati, and
Then what's that difference?
that's the, huh?
Meaning.
Is there such a root, or you're just using that as a way of?
I'm just using it
Okay.
as a possibility, because you see G naughty in the fifth class. But by the way, there are many roots which are used in several classes, as you know. First of all, Sanskrit is too old, ancient language, and there are too many possibilities in texts. So we can see that certain roots are used in the sixth, in the first, in the fifth, at the same time. So it's not something we, but it would be interesting to compare the shift of the meaning. Here it is. Huh?
I would love to do that, like vid.
Right, like vid, vindati, and vetti. Yes, we can see the second class and the sixth class. Unfortunately, both are very close to distinguishing nothing, really, because second class is another class which has no suffix altogether. So, what can you say how it should be distinguished? Yeah? So most probably second class is the one class which is totally undistinguishable, whereas first class has at least a carrier as suffix, and sixth class also a carrier suffix. But ya is already doing something, and aya is even more doing something. It is doing this causativeness. It creates the cause, the powerful push. Yeah? Whereas ya doing also something of the kind, but not as powerful as aya.
Oh.
And then, of course, fifth class chenoti and the ninth class, also very interesting with na suffix, yeah? Janati, janita, jananti, na and ni. Also, I think this ni and nu, two powerful words, nu word as a suffix and nu as a particle is used in instigation, like, your nu is like you're pushing forward something. You want to start the text. And also it is used in a sense of nunam as today, nowadays, now, nu, most probably the same etymology.
Well,
And
in Yiddish, so Yiddish is the Eastern European, Germanic, whatever that the Jews use. So my grandmother
Fabulous language.
Yiddish quite a bit, and if there was something she wanted to know, she would say "nu, nu," and it was quite forceful. It meant you needed to communicate with her.
very nice. Actually, we have the same in Russian. Nu means let get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's a particle which is the same in Sanskrit. Nu. Yeah. We can open the dictionary and to read about this. It would be interesting, because these simple words, they are very significant in this general significance, which we can see the same in the suffix nu, chinu, te, chinoti. and nunam, and nu is now. Or you see so many news here.
That's a lot of news.
Yes. Look at this now, nu.
know.
Still, just, at once. The same sense as your uh,
My grandmother.
grandmother says.
Indeed.
So now, you know,
Oh,
now then.
spiel. Talk. Spiel.
Wasn't there German? Well, German, not Yiddish, but close.
Yeah.
Down at the bottom there, the similarities. There it says in this.
In questions. Yeah. Especially employed in questions.
Yeah, and look how many combinations with nu. Incredible. Nahi nu. By no means. Look at this. Nakir nu. Nakir. It's another ancient word. No one or nothing at all. Manu. In order that surely not. Wow. Ghanu, Hanu, Innu, Nukam, Nuchit, forever, evermore, at once. So Nu is very popular.
I never came across new just as a particle. Did you, Janani?
Yes, on occasion you see it as a particle. Not very often, but I have seen it.
Uh-huh. Cool.
I'd have to think about where, but I want to say probably in Taittiriya, at least there. But I'd have to think about where I've seen it as a particle.
Yeah, it's everywhere. Kimnu, what then? So Nu is,
That's good. What then? I like that.
and this Rigveda, of course it's in the Vedic texts. And there is a root also, navate, look at this root, to move from place, to remove, to move from the place. And there is more. Nauti, the second class, is kind of to sound, to shout, to exalt, and to sound loudly, roar, thunder, praise, command. It's again this new, yeah, this kind of
Yeah.
exciting or
What about birth? Isn't there? Is there anything having to do with, like, I don't know, Nate? No, I don't know. It's just trying to think of. It seems to me I've seen it. Not, and then Nava, like derivation, but it's
yeah. Nava as new, look at this, new, as same etymology, Nava. It's from nu, I am sure about it, because it is something which is excited, which is promoted, which is compelled, which comes into being. And Nava is 9. Nava is 9, we have to think what it is.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that too, but I couldn't make those connections but it flashed.
But Nava is new, Navina, Nava. It's kind of, now it's clear because it is now. It is something new because it is now, yeah? It is not belonging to some other time. It is something which is coming up, in this moment of time. Maybe 9 also has this significance, occult significance of the number.
Well, the only thing I can think of, I've heard Hart talk about from a horoscope point of view. It was a very beautiful concept because we know 1, 5, 9 are the Dharma houses, but they're also the cycle of Purva Punya and Punya in this lifetime. And the idea of there's the native, that's 1. There's the native's child, that's 5. And then there's the grandchild is 9. But we can also think the father is 9. So the father carries forward to the native in 1. And then 1 brings forth a child in 5.
Hmm.
And so there's this idea that the nine, I'm just coming back to the nine,
Yeah.
is the father of one, of the one. So there is this idea of nine as being, the generator of life in a way.
Very
Well,
interesting.
can you, and this is probably really stretching that, but that nine holds a special place in the, I don't know if you'd say mathematical, but in the numerology type thing,
Absolutely.
because of that, the fact that it's always any numbers that are, and I don't know how to explain this because it's way outside my range of, but it's like, say if you go 9 times 3 equals 27, and then 7 and 2 equals,
Is 9.
Yep.
I don't know how I would explain.
Not the ninth. Nine is the number for Dharma. It's the
Interesting.
highest Dharma is nine.
Yeah.
There's something about 9, yes, as a complete or something, and also just you said about this new and novelty. Novelty is again now. Um, uh,
Yeah.
this I think it is something to do with nu as it is nunam now, yeah, as incited to appear, something which wants to be, which comes into being. Yeah, so
Well, that would tie with what Penny was just saying.
Yeah, exactly.
right.
Yeah.
It was the impulse of creation, in terms of it carries it right forward, right to the one who's born.
Right. Interesting. Very
Yeah.
interesting. So the suffix nu, you can see that it plays very similar role
Mm-hmm.
of inciting the meaning or promoting the meaning, quickening the movement, making it more powerful of G. So ginoti, ginute, if it is in the Atmanepadam. Ginoti, ginutaha, jinvanti. Then G long E to overpower. Here we can see this meaning that it is stretched, it's a longer E and becomes more powerful. Oh, there is nothing given here, unfortunately.
Hmm.
My dictionary is deficient.
That's the beginning, the opening version, right? It's the first one out of the gate. Did they upgrade it or change it?
I do not know why they did this damage to the dictionary.
Yeah.
They didn't put everything. I
Yeah.
can't find E root. I can't find G root, long E.
And yet it's so comprehensive in other ways. It's got a lot of good stuff.
Right. So by bringing oneself to the place to dominate the place by intensity of one's movement, so to say, that is the overpower. I just am trying to stay within the movement and the intensity. What is the overpowering? What overpowering could mean? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
where it can be, where we can derive this meaning from what? Either you're stepping over or pressing down, or you're moving too intensely, so intense that all the other movements will be kind of taken over or kind of incorporated into yours. So then you are overpowering. She to sharpen. Mm, also interesting kind of one-pointedness, and she has this very strong hissing significance. We can look into Sri Aurobindo's meaning of sh if he gives here sha, vehemence in union. That's quite interesting.
That is.
Uh,
There's a lot.
so, and sha, strong action in rest. That's also interesting, very intuitive. And sa, repose and union, and ha, force. One word, force. So this vehemence in union, if you look into this she, um, E is this one-pointedness, this energy which comes together with or the movement into one-pointedness to make the point more distinct. Mm. And there is another she with long E, which is very unusual root because it has always in the second class has this shete in Atmanepadam. Yeah?
Mhm.
Shayate, sherate, absolutely irregular root. Yeah? Why it is guna there, it's difficult to say. To
Mhm.
sleep, to rest.
Yeah.
Second class, absolutely not fitting into any form. We could even create a separate class for she.
Mhm.
I don't know totally. This root she, to sleep, to rest, took a long time for me to kind of to understand, and I never could totally understand it. Here I try to explain it in my way to sham, to note and to be quiet at the same time. That's what I thought that time. It could mean to be passive and therefore perceptive. Maybe it is on that level. Yeah?
Mhm.
And to have a capacity of noticing all particularities. That means to be peaceful. Uh, to have a capacity
Mhm.
to be sharpened in the perception by the peaceful state. From here, sham, shanti, and sham and shim also to labor, to get tired also, or to stop, to rest, to be exhausted. Most probably all of these have something to do with this movement, yeah? And vehemence in union. But why to stop sham? Stop, most probably it is contextual significance, contextual meaning. To rest rather, and to be exhausted is another. There is shram, shram yati,
Mhm.
which is more than shamyati. Shamyati is more to be extinguished or to be pacified, whereas shramyati is to be exhausted. Most probably they joined because of close relation.
Mhm. Yeah.
So this is a question mark for me. I don't have one answer to it, and no definite answer. So this sharpening your perception by being peaceful, this is the only thing I could come to.
Mhm.
If we want to really concentrate, really to perceive many things, many points of concentration, we have to intensify peace. We can't do it otherwise.
Mhm.
So if I am to be very attentive, I can't be very active. I have to become very perceptive, passive, nearly totally stop breathing in order to notice things, yes, which are happening. So this, most probably that is the only thing which I could combine the two, to
Yeah.
sleep, to rest, and to be perceptive, sharp.
Well, that's plausible. That's,
Yeah, and from there are more contextual significances, like to sleep, became more dominant, or to, yeah, to get tired, to be extinguished, to be exhausted. All those things were descriptive of that major significance or secondary meanings which appeared in language and were used in the text. And maybe they were translated like this. Maybe they are not at all. Maybe they don't mean that. And if you look into the texts, we may be surprised that there is this other significance there, which fits better than just to lie down and sleep.
yeah. Well, you don't, I mean, I can't think of seeing it commonly anyway. You know, it's not a commonly occurring uh, root. in at least in what, the text that I've seen.
Yeah, it's interesting because we know this root only from classical Sanskrit where they are lying down. It would be interesting to see how it is used in the Rig Veda, in what sense, because it would have some psychological significance we need. In the classical language, it will be used as a description of somebody lying down and sleeping. So here we have it: to lie down, to recline, rest, repose. So this rest, repose is also important. Yeah, kind of come back to yourself, to your senses, to your inner sense. Most probably that was in the Rig Veda. To remain unused as Soma in Taittiriya Samhita. I'm not sure these are proper translations. They may be just interpretations. Yeah?
Hmm.
Mahabharata, to sleep. Yeah, it will be used there as to sleep. To lie down to a husband. Again, yes, lying down usually is considered to have intercourse.
Mhm.
Even in English, in
Yeah.
the older form of English, yeah, sleep. We don't sleep together. That means
Right.
as if sleeping should be having this meaning. But you can see immediately that this is a contextual meaning. Yes, it has nothing to do with intercourse, but because it happens to be in the one location in the particular lying down format, that's why it has this secondary meaning which is coming up.
Yeah.
It's many of these meanings are of that kind. Yeah, when the root was applied, that got another meaning of it, which was expressed in our language in English in this way.
But it's the process of inference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The root, it's anumana. It's how things expand.
Mm-hmm.
Like if there's something literal and you always see this other thing going on, the fire smoke thing.
Yeah.
Then you don't see the fire, but you see the smoke over the mountain and you infer. And so it's a pramana. It becomes a means of gaining knowledge. So inference, I think, is very important in our whole process of thinking and relating things.
Absolutely.
Yet at the same time, the inference and then the presumption, it's
Test.
What's that?
It needs to get tested. You can run amok. Is that what you're going to say?
No, I'm not saying you can run amok. I'm just saying that it's in a way it's fascinating because on the one hand it starts out with the direct meaning,
Yep.
to sleep, and then it expands into all these other things, and yet at the same time, you how much would you use this root for those implied or presumed meanings, as opposed to, because those implied meanings also have their own roots, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, for the lying with the husband becomes then what? That action also has its own different root, doesn't it? Does it not? It does. And so you're going from, you go to the implied meaning, which is this meaning, but at the same time, it's just, it's like boggles the mind in a way how this meaning would have that meaning, but at the same time, that action also has its own root, which is separate and apart from.
That's how you get synonyms.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And the development of vocabulary is taking place from this contextual
And also,
meaning.
I think it's important, especially it's kind of our same argument about, word order. If you're dealing with a language that is metered, then having these variants of how you would say something is important, because one way of saying it might not accommodate a meter, for example. Not that it was ever that deliberate, because it came out as cognition, you know, in a completeness. If you ever had to sit and compose something that was metered, I'm sure you would have a heck of a time. It's not that easy to deliberately compose something with strict meter, certainly not in the volume that the Sanskrit literature is composed. But still, it's a way of thinking about it.
Mm. I didn't think about meter. It could be interesting to see whether how meter fits for certain languages. Yes, why, for example, pentameter is used by Shakespeare for English, and how hexameter is so difficult to use for English, and so on and so forth. With certain quality within the language, which allows certain meters to be very good instruments of expression, or the matrix of filling in. Yeah, so like Gayatri or Anushtup is excellent, or Jagati is fitting very well. Trishtup is more difficult, but still there are these meters and not others. Why not others? Because the others are not really totally fitting into the flow of language. Language requires certain meter for its expression. Here, what is interesting is what to draw my attention that to lie down to a husband, not husband lying down to the, and maybe something here is weird. Maybe not. Maybe it's just some. Yeah, I'm becoming splitting the hair. It's not
Yeah. Or just common, common usage,
common usage, most probably.
something like that.
Anyhow, this with lying down, lying.
All right, so I'm just going to come back to that. It might be because this whole idea of using this particular verb actually is that it's a more passive. It's more
Attentive.
Yeah.
Passive as attentive, as attending, yeah, more.
right. So the other way around would be
Serving.
more, pushing or causing or active, and this is more passive, peaceable. You want to kind of go with that idea of the she root. So that's why it might be more that direction. Just a thought.
Yeah, very good. I bring always this consciousness, attentive, attending, and serving rather than responding to the need.
Exactly.
Yes, rather than just being in need and actively engaged for oneself.
It's always the idea of masculine, feminine.
Yes, yes.
One is more accepting or peaceably, supposedly.
Yeah, you found a way out. Very nice. Very nice. I didn't want to go in that direction because it's very slippery ground to comment anything. And that way,
I think we're all lived enough life to be able to discuss these things in the service of understanding language. I mean, that's
definitely.
This is for. We're not about to write an essay on them.
Very nice, very nice. And Ruchi, to lie down with the husband, right? The whole article was written, published in all journals.
Everyone would call it up for sure.
The meaning of the sound she. It's she. It's not he. It's she.
She is she. What is she? Who is she?
Right there. That's why it's the wife line.
Oh, nice. She.
That's perfect. I think that's the point of the whole.
She's.
You made me fun. A lot of fun. Okay. And we can prove that it is the same etymology of she. Finally, being attentive.
Now that gets really interesting.
Yeah. It's like in English and Sanskrit, no matter what.
This is why you changed the time for me, because it wouldn't be as much fun, right? Without crazy perverted mind.
I didn't hear that last part. What did you say?
My crazy mind.
Yeah. Well, in your spare time too, you could write something.
Very good point, actually. Okay, great. We will continue next time. We will take this next section with starting with E roots and Ya, starting with Ya, and see how they play their role and what they do with meaning. Great. You see, interesting. She is to be attentive, and Ish is to possess. So just the opposite, the other side of the coin.
Mm. Yes, that's fascinating too. That's another, just, yeah. But
To own, Ish to own, yeah, from
yeah,
Isha, the Lord.
yeah.
Great. Okay. Okay.
That's
Let's.
that one. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No problem. No problem. I just thought we would kind of come to the end because
Yeah.
I have another appointment coming up.
Yeah.
Okay. I close with mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet Om Shanti 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 Shri Guru Hari Om.
Yeah.
See you. Namaste.
Yep. Take
Bye.
care.